Welcome to our panelists. Welcome to everybody who's in the room and everybody joining us. This is the fourth and final edition of the Puttin' in Work panel series. My name is Rebecca Harrison. I'm the Executive Director of Unity Charity, and Unity Charity is a national nonprofit organization that uses hip-hop art forms to help young people develop resilience. We also do a lot of work in artist development, hence this panel series. Heist, forgive me, I'm gonna put you on mute for a second, okay? You just got, I think that's you. Yeah. Oh, no, it's not you, actually. Is that you, Ray?
Let me see.
Just mute yourself for a second. Bless. Okay, well, I mute you when it's time for you to talk. You got a minute. I got a few intro things to do here. Yeah, so Unity, we do a lot of work with artist development, hence this Puttin' in Work series. You know, we saw that COVID 2020 was having a pretty crazy impact on the arts industries, on the cultural industries, and a lot of artists that we've worked with from across the country expressed, you know, that they didn't necessarily understand what the bigger picture looked like, how COVID was changing things. And so we wanted to do a bit of a series to give people some insight about what different folks from the industry are seeing. How people can keep growing and progressing and moving forward, even though the game has changed, some of the ways that we interact with people, the ways that we make money have changed. And so that's the whole idea behind our Puttin' in Work series. In this session specifically, you're here with Graff Life, trends and opportunities for graph writers, muralists, and visual artists. Yes, yes. So I'm gonna introduce all of the panelists in detail in a couple of minutes. Just a couple housekeeping items. First and foremost, all of the attendees in the room, I just want to encourage you guys to like shamelessly self-promote in the chat, throw in your handles, throw in your websites, whatever, you know, while we're all here together, we may as well be checking each other out, following, supporting, doing what we do. There will be a recording of this panel available after the fact on Unity's YouTube channel. It will be closed captioned for folks with varying abilities so they can listen and watch along. We do have the lovely Maddie Lee here as the Unity panel host. She's here for tech support, and she's also going to be throwing links and references, pages, resources, whatever our wonderful panelists kind of put forward today. She's going to be pulling those from the internet and throwing them in the chat. So you can sort of line up your tabs after the fact and continue your research. And then don't forget, if you have questions, just throw your questions into the Q&A function at the bottom of the chat. And instead of putting them into the chat function, and then we can make sure that we get to them at the end of the panel. There will be a super quick evaluation that you'll be redirected to automatically as soon as the panel finishes. If you have 30 seconds to spare to give us some feedback, we always super appreciate it. We've had some really dope suggestions from people so far about other people that they'd like to hear from, other topics that they'd like us to hold panels about, so just get in there if you're able. And then I do, of course, want to do a thank you to our sponsor, TD. So as a part of TD's goal to help people feel a sense of belonging in their communities, TD supports arts and culture events, initiatives, and organizations from across North America that amplify diverse voices. That's definitely what Unity is all about. You know, we're always trying to make space, make sure that hip hop artists have the opportunity to grow and to be heard. And so we really appreciate their support. They've been a really sick ally to Unity for a long time. So big ups to TD and the TD Ready commitment for supporting this panel and Unity's artist training and development program all year round. One other thing I want to get to before I introduce all of our wonderful panelists, I do want to do some acknowledgements. First, I'd like to acknowledge and express gratitude to be connecting with all of you today from land that is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I do want to take this a step further, though. I also want to invite everybody who's joining us today to take pause for a moment and acknowledge the fact that the ability to connect with one another online is a huge privilege that is not equally afforded to households across Canada. There's a really massive digital divide that has been highlighted and exacerbated since the onset of COVID, when so much opportunity and learning has moved online. In Canada at the moment, only 30% of Indigenous households living on reserve have access to high-speed internet, as compared to 99% of households in urban centers. So in delivering these panels online, in learning about how people can excel in online spaces, we're all collectively contributing, to the widening of the gap between artists who have access to the internet and those who don't. So I just want to ask people to think about what you can do to support in this space. First and foremost, we can hold the Canadian government responsible. They have a lot of rural infrastructure commitments that they've made. You can use your voice and you can use your votes to keep them accountable. Use the influence and the energy that you have to support Indigenous artists, communities, and organizations in the ways that honor your models for activism and allyship. And one thing in particular, we can throw it in the chat, there's a really dope organization, an international organization that's called Internet Society. They do a lot of great work to try and lessen the digital divide, and they have a big presence in Canada. A lot of great information on their website, so if you care to learn more, just head to internetsociety.org. Another super important acknowledgement for Unity to make, as an organization that achieves impact through hip-hop art forms, which are products of the Black lived experience, we also want to acknowledge the legacy of the Black community in the founding and the propagation of these art forms. As well, again, we can do more than just acknowledge these days. An invitation to action. I want to invite people to consider how we can collectively lend our energies to ensuring that Black artists and communities benefit from the popularity and widespread commercialization of hip hop culture. It's really important that we continue to hold media and industry accountable for the uplifting and respect of hip hop art forms and culture, and educating when we see them referred to with ignorance and stigma. Let's continue to promote the value and importance of hip hop as a space for communities to protest and resist the systems that cause and perpetuate their oppression. Continue to remember and learn about the Black roots of hip hop, paying homage to the OGs who came before us. And finally, lifting as we climb, to make sure that we pave the way for Black youth to thrive in the hip hop communities that we move through, so that they can find resilience and pride in the culture that is the legacy of their heritage. Always work to be done, always important acknowledgements to make. And without further ado, I'm very excited to be introducing our panelists. Now, every panelist that I've introduced so far has felt, like shades of like shame, embarrassment when I talk through your bio. So like, if you want to hide your face or like whatever, feel free to do that. Here we go. Ray is first on the chopping block. Ray Mesiri is a Toronto-based entrepreneur and artist specializing in murals, high fashion, and collectible art. As a young immigrant from Albania, Ray was diagnosed with learning disabilities from his poor performance in school. He saw street dance and graffiti as a voice for his identity and a way to cope with his mental health challenges. Embracing his free-spirited and spontaneous character, Ray pursued art as an independent career, later expanding into other businesses, including beer and spirits, advertising, and global export. Ray's art has been featured with Art Basel Miami, Versace Mansion, Bloomingdale's New York, Mercedes-Benz, and is one of the world's leading artists, collaborating with fashion houses in Europe, designing sustainable 3D printed high fashion. Ray is also a Unity artist, so big ups to Ray. Super excited to have you with us today and can't wait to hear from you, Ray. Thanks for joining us. Okay, Heist next. Heistdro, the one and only, who is the owner of, the one and only wasn't in there, I added that in.
That was in there, I meant to write that part.
I read between the lines, Heistdro is the owner of Toronto Collective. He's been involved in the hip hop community for the majority of his life. He started out as a b-boy for the original crew DDT, and also was one of the first international members of Ready to Rock out of New York City. Now Heistdro runs The Collective, which is the city's biggest graffiti and art supply shop in Toronto and Canada. Heist, so stoked to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wrote that at 2 in the morning.
What's that?
I wrote that bio at 2 in the morning.
I thought it was concise. It was nice. I had to do a lot of work to shorten other people's bios, so I don't like.
I heard everything about this guy. Like it was a timeline from when he was born.
I shortened it. Okay, we got Pat Lazo. So Pat Lazo is joining us from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Pat Lazo is a mural artist from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and works in spray paint. Lazo co-founded Graffiti Gallery in 1998, aka Graffiti Art Programming, and has been involved in the Canadian graffiti movement since 1993. Acting as the current artistic director at GAP. That's Graffiti Art Programming. He's been curating art exhibits of local, Canadian, and international artists with their roots in graffiti. He's exhibited artists such as Risk MSK, C. Adams, Ernie Vales, Chino BYI, Medaya, Clandestinos, Spone? I didn't know that one.
SP1.
SP1, damn. The only one I didn't say. SP1, a fine arts graduate from the University of Manitoba, has worked out with the conflicts of graffiti and fine art establishment. He's a proud father, prolific mural painter, and licensed tattoo artist, and loves to create with his hands. Pat, super stoked to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Big fan of you, big fan of Graffiti Art Programming, lots of love between GAP and Unity, so really happy to have you here. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Wane, coming to us from New York City. Born in the United Kingdom's West London, Wane's parents brought their 2 sons to the US and moved to New York City's North Bronx, where he watched and admired the many great graffiti writers of the late 70s and early 80s produce masterful works of art on the subway. Wane transformed from a young admirer to active and progressive participant as he became Wane 1 when he painted his first train. This was the beginning of a lifelong love for graffiti and a deep appreciation for the culture that surrounded it. Writers around the city took notice of Wane's work and recognized his stylistic significance and contributions to the scene. Wane started experimenting and exploring with other mediums and surfaces, producing paintings with acrylic on canvas, denim jackets and jeans, and airbrushing onto t-shirts, which gave Wane his first taste of being an entrepreneur. He then transitioned into graphic design and has designed logos for legendary hip-hop groups and artists like Gangstar, Jeru the Damager, and Group Home. Presently, Wane divides his time between painting, running his company Writer's Bench, and collaborating on numerous projects with well-known brands such as Nike, Reebok, New Balance, and RYU. Welcome, Wane 1.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
A lot of talent in the room.
A lot of talent in the room. A lot of talent, a lot of experience, a lot of different perspectives.
That's how I like it.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So big ups to everybody, you know?
Exactly. Okay, so we've done our intros, we've done our acknowledgments, we've introduced everybody, so we can get into the meat of it now. So I always like to kind of start with a look at the bigger picture. I feel like that's always a safe place to start from to get some perspective and context on the conversation. So I don't think anybody would necessarily disagree with the statement that COVID has changed the game for the arts, creative, and cultural industries, like all around the world. You know, a lot of creatives find themselves to be like even more precariously employed than they used to be. This virus has shone a light on how much precarity artists, community organizers, business carry on themselves in order to make art and create spaces for other people to make art. But it's really interesting because I was especially excited for this conversation because I think that the impact on, you know, even in conversations with you guys leading up to this, the impact on graffiti and the graffiti space and the street art space has been so different than how it's impacted, for example, you know, artists like MCs or dancers who are, you know, initially were struggling, you know, confined to their homes. So I'm really interested to hear what people have to say because I mean, what a lot of us have seen is graph writers, muralists, visual artists are really capitalizing on empty streets, capitalizing on people's eyes online, people's desire for solidarity and connection, and how, you know, murals can, you know, bring these conversations to the forefront. And just lots of artists right now who are growing their audiences and making big statements with what they have to work with. So I really wanted to start to get an understanding of what the panelists who are here with us today perceive to be the state of street art and the impacts of COVID and like post-COVID. So I'm going to give all of the panelists a chance to answer this first question, which is, from your perspective, what have the happenings of 2020 revealed to you about your art form, industry, or business? And is there a new normal for graffiti and street art post-COVID? So I'm going to throw this question to, let's go Pat first. Pat, what has 2020 revealed to you about your art form, industry, business? And is there a new normal for graffiti and street art post-COVID?
Well, speaking on graffiti art programming, I'd have to say that the one thing that we did lose with this whole quarantine and everything is like the intimate interaction with like individuals, and it's like, and the connection, the personal connection, which is which was a constant in their lives. So having that role model in your day, like twice a week or whatever programming you're going to is just like not having that constant there is must have been really hard. So having to adapt and change into doing. Are you hearing me? Is it okay?
You're good. You're good.
Having to adapt to online programming and and be engaging is really is a difficult thing to do, and it's great that we have very passionate instructors that are really, we're very lucky to have artists that are artists outside of, they're teaching art outside of, they're artists outside of their teaching. So they're actually like believers in what they're teaching, like the power of it. So we're very lucky that way, and they're real crafts people of their craft, like as far as making beats and dancers and all that, it's like it's part of the world. It's not a facade. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's authentic. So it's like so if you're gonna engage with somebody's Zoom, like it better be someone that's like really into the lifestyle, or
Right.
the culture, right? Like for the right reasons,
Yeah, and so from your perspective, I think what you're talking about a little bit is like, obviously at graffiti art programming, part of it is, teaching the basics of this art form. And so do you think that moving forward, there's a new normal for that? Like, has there been a shift towards like, if we can't be together, how do we teach this?
Well, we are, yeah, like we're planning, like we've adapted and we bought equipment and we're doing that. And, we're creating spaces that can be used as like mini studios and like we're moving. We've got to remain fluid with this, and really just kind of like Bruce Lee this thing and be like water. And like, if we have to, if we do try, like the city of Winnipeg, we're going to be opening, community centers will be opening soon, and then like school's going to come. But if there's a huge spike, and then it's all of a sudden shut down, we've got to keep going, and like we've got to remain a constant that way, like
Gotcha.
and that's speaking on graffiti art programming,
Awesome.
And
Okay.
I think businesses like have also adapted, like they use that sort of time to reno or whatnot, or make improvements to their business. So like I had opportunities to paint murals while they were shut down. So
Right.
Some people took advantage of that. And that was one thing that like, I didn't plan on. I thought people would just be like, oh, damn, like we're like, what are we going to do? We're making no money. We're only selling takeout. It's like a third of their profits. Right. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, some took advantage of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point, like I was referring to earlier, is like, yeah, you would think, you know, people's budgets are strapped, but you see all these like commission murals going up everywhere, like at a time when, you know, people don't have a lot of money. To see that kind of investment in public art is pretty amazing. So, I mean, hopefully businesses are seeing the benefit of like investing in something like that, and that's like a nice new normal that like sticks around post-COVID. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna shoot it to Ray.
Yeah.
Ray, unmute yourself, my friend. There we
I
go.
got it. All right.
From your perspective, what has 2020 revealed to you about your art form and business? And is there a new normal for graffiti and street art?
I would say the main thing that it really tested me on was the main thing that it showed me is how fragile the world can be, you know? Like, you know, a lot of people, we thought everything was going to be so linear and it was going to be like forever. And then boom, just overnight, you know, like everything just changed, right? So that was very interesting. And obviously it's kind of scary at first, but then I found it very exciting because I'm like, wow, this is something really new that is really going to kind of push my like kind of put me into pressure, you know, like just put me into so much pressure that something new is going to come out. So personally, what I did was like, I just stayed on social media a lot for the first week or two, just seeing what people did with their time and their stories. And I realized that, you know, people are now more reachable than ever because they're not going to clubs. They're not, their projects were all like cut off. So I realized like the people that I wanted to reach out to, I'm talking like maybe, you know, some sort of like CEO or whatever I thought that was hard to reach, were now suddenly reachable because all their projects are out and they're just at home like, what's going on, you know? So it just gave me that room to go in and start reaching out to them and just talking, connecting, and not just like, I'm not just talking about like just trying to pitch ideas to them, but just to kind of have them in my radar and have myself in their radar, right? So I made a whole new like wave of connections, just like using that advantage. And the other thing is that like it's just pivoting, you know, just understanding people, understanding like what they're doing with their time, or where they're putting their attention to, where are they buying things, what are they spending their time on, right? And things like as the laws change, these things change, right? So it's just about keeping tabs on those things and then seeing where you fit in. I did notice something which was dope, including myself. I didn't do a lot of murals at first because it was like winter. I was mainly at home, but I was drawing a lot. I was spending like 12 hours a day drawing because all my like projects were cut off. So that kind of really helped me take my creativity to another level, which I didn't have the time to do before. But I also noticed as soon as it got a little warmer, like all my homies that like do Graff and they do murals, like they were all out, you know, just like because they were staying at home for so long, they kind of just bottled up all that like energy, and they just went out. And it's just like, I think Toronto has so many new murals now because of that, right? So I guess those are the changes that are happening. But I also leave a lot of room to understand what could happen next, and that I'm totally fine with the fact that I don't know what's going to happen next. I just know that I'm going to be ready emotionally and consciously to kind of make decisions based on that, you know? Like even the banks, like they don't know what's going to happen next year, right? Because we haven't even felt the economical impact of it yet, right? Wow. So it's all about just kind of keeping an eye on people. That's my main thing. I'm not even tech savvy or nothing, but I just like to understand at all times what people are doing, and because at the end of the day, everything is for other people, right? So it's all about communicating, right? So that's where I'm at with it.
And that's interesting because that kind of relates to something that one of the panelists was saying the other week. It was a gal at A&R at Sony who was like, listen, the best thing you can do for your craft, whatever it is to know your audience, understand your audience, and understand like where you communicate with them and what kind of information you have about them, and watch them, talk to them. Like, the better you understand them and what they're doing, the better you're able to like pivot your business or, you know, connect with them in a stronger way. So I think was really smart. I think a lot of us are online for the first couple of weeks of COVID, just being like, what the fuck? Like, does anybody else know better what's happening than I do?
Yeah. And it's just, you know, I'm just excited about one thing. There's so many meetings that we used to have in the past where now it's just like, okay, we could have had all those on Zoom. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to drive to an hour to like see you for like 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So now I think we've built a much bigger trust on technology, which is amazing. You know, I love that. Yeah.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks, Ray. Okay, I'm going to throw it down to Wayne. Wayne, from your perspective, what has 2020 revealed to you about your art form and business? And is there a new normal for graffiti and street art?
Yeah, so Rebecca, I mean, for me, it's, you know, from my experience and the experience of growing up in New York City in the 80s and how things were so different and technology didn't play a part back then. It played a very little part of what went on. You had to do everything, you know, front and center, so to speak. And then technology came and you had to adapt to that. And now there's so much we could do with technology. And with COVID and the quarantine and also just being self-employed. So, you know, I just want people to understand out there that, like, as a self-employed artist and a person that runs his own business, you know, a lot of projects for graffiti artists and muralists are planned way ahead. We make a bulk of our money doing festivals and traveling around and painting big walls, or collaborations with companies, or you know, some sort of collaboration that takes preparation, right? So it takes months, if not half a year, for projects to jump off. So most artists like myself and Ray and everybody and Pat, a lot of projects was in the first 2 weeks of COVID was canceled completely. Right. Some people really wanted to try to make it happen, and then they pushed it further out to the fall. Like, oh yeah, you know what, they kept their minds open and they were more open-minded and said, oh, you know what, it'll be over quick, and maybe we can get back to the norm in the fall. Yeah. But the majority of everyone said, you know what, 2021. They just pushed it into the next year. Now, if you're in October, you're like 2021. You know, so all our projects got canceled, which means all our revenue got canceled, which means how you gonna pay your bills, right? And that's why we're here. So my experience with New York and just back then, and just learning how to adapt and go into survival mode. We're now into survival mode. So for me, it's you know, the first few weeks was definitely on my mind. But like Ray said, one of the first things I thought about was like, oh, well, we need to produce. I always feel like I need to produce work, a lot of work. When I'm busy out getting paid and traveling, I'm producing work and I'm making money. But even when I'm not making money, I'm producing work anyway. Right. People never know. People always, you know, consistency is what I do. People always see it. Over 38 years of painting, people are, oh my God. And they don't, most people think I'm getting paid for everything I'm doing. Right. Not really. Yeah. But I'm also nurturing the craft. I'm also trying to perfect my skills, right? So since we couldn't go outside, or we choose not to go outside, or I choose not to go outside because I felt like just thinking, having empathy and thinking about older people. Yeah. Like, well, you know what? It's not like another tragedy where like it's a disaster and we can go outside and we can go painting and take advantage of that. But like, if this thing spreads more, older people, a lot more people will die. I was just trying to, you know, be conscious of that. Let me stay in. So I was producing a lot of small works that I could put online. And after about a month or so, I realized that other artists was doing that as well. And that our online business became our main business. Right. Where things that we used to just sell, little things, you know, prints and small pieces of works to real diehard fans, started now everyone going to that platform. And I think also a lot of people that was out of work, people that not artists, they want to support art. I think art right now it has the biggest, I don't want to say trend, but the biggest movement. I've seen that like 10 years ago. If we look at music and we look at journalism and we look at even fashion, you know, just us as creatives being in those fields, you know, on the creative end. A lot of those avenues have slowly died out or shift when it comes to revenue. You know what I mean? Like music went into streaming. You know, people sign deals. They don't get a real check up front anymore, or they don't get like they don't sell a CD. It's now it's shifted. So when it shifted, a lot of people that went in the music industry went to the fashion industry. When journalism died, meaning like it didn't really die, but magazines died, people shift to the music industry and then shifted it to the fashion industry if they learned how to adapt, if they went into survival mode, right? So for us, we always been in survival mode. We always been, I feel like, at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So with technology, like Ray said, this is the best time for us. So we produce work, we sell work online, and if we stick together as artists, as friends, we could promote each other
Big time.
to people outside of our fields, which means brings revenue to the website. That's how we pay our bills. So, and as far as like the streets, I've seen a lot of young writers. I mean, if you come to New York now, the city, the entire city is destroyed. People have went out and really produced a lot of graffiti from tags to throw ups, stompers to doing murals. A lot of street artists have even went out into very popular shopping areas because everything's boarded up because of some of the protesting, looting and such. And now street artists and some graffiti writers have adapted that. They saw a white canvas, or shall I say a wooden canvas, and right away we adapted to that and we add art to that. And I think just looking back in 10 years, I mean, it will end. This whole thing will end.
Sure.
So we have to stay productive. That's the key. Stay productive and try not to get bored and depressed. A lot of people have anxiety. They've been calling me and I've been speaking to people and they're like, oh, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I'm producing work. You know,
For sure.
Yeah, for artists, I think my last, I'm going to say this lastly because I don't want to go on too much more, but I think for artists who we're self-employed, we spend a lot of time quarantined anyway. We give up, we sacrifice a lot to make art.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm not going to say it wasn't tough and it's still not tough, but we know there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Most
and
definitely.
The key for younger artists or any artist is to produce as much work as you can, whether in the streets or in your studio. If you produce work in the streets, when the dust clears, everyone will be out and all those works will be treated as marketing. And your work in the studio, you will have a lot of work to sell.
Most definitely.
So that's my outlook on it.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna get back to, actually, I'm gonna come back to like some tips for things that artists can be doing during this time. We've already got a couple of good questions coming up that we're definitely gonna get to. So last but not least, though, I want to put it to Heist, and I think you have an interesting perspective on this because you're the only one probably who sees as many writers and muralists in a day of anybody who's online, and as well the only ones with the only one with a bricks and mortar store. And so from your perspective, what have the happenings of 2020 revealed to you about your business? And is there a new normal for your business, a new normal for graffiti and street writers from your perspective?
I'm glad you changed the question around because all three of them answered it. So I was like, cool, I don't have to say nothing. We just go to the next question. So
I got you.
Exactly what all of them are saying is true. So like Wayne is saying, like the art you were doing, the projects you had, they got canceled. But immediately new gigs and new jobs will come up. People come up, wanted to paint murals. Somebody's just like, some people got a CERB check. Some people got, they got money for their business. They like $40,000. So they're renovating. They're coming up with new ideas. Everybody knows that if you have a business, you got to put design or something in your shop. So some artists can go spray paint. Other ones can design something and do it like wallpaper. So I noticed as soon as because I was gonna do a sticker jam here. We're gonna do art shows. Art shows now, you got to line up space. You got to have 2 people in there. So the society is changing. For me, the artists are never gonna stop. Like if you ask, beautiful shot there of, if you look at it, basically, these artists are going to go out and do it no matter what. It's just they're going to change the style of it. But I'm going to tell you, like the selling of paint, the spray paint, the painting on shoes, the painting on all that stuff, it's increased during the COVID because people watched the end of Netflix. They watched every movie. There's no new Hollywood stuff coming out. All that distraction crap, sports and stuff, which I love, is done. You know what I mean? It's now people got to create and do something because you're sitting there and you got nothing. So they need to look at these artists and do stuff. And our shop has, you know, we have multiple like art supplies and stuff. You know, it's not just graffiti, it's markers, it's tags, it's sketchbooks, it's drawing, it's graphic designing. Like with the Zoom meetings and stuff like that, you can now get to like iPad art is big. You can start having like black book sessions through art through iPads, you know what I mean? Where y'all can just send quick images to each other. You can have battles, you can have competitions. Like the competition and the street life is never gonna stop. Like I said, like Wayne was saying, there's brand new, every time they paint a wall or they put a board up, that's a new canvas to put out a message, to put out your opinion, to put out your name, to put out your crew. You get, like the whole culture restarts again. Because if you think back in the day, you had to go out with no inspiration. Ain't no writers were gonna tell you, hey, let me help you. They might find someone that they like and be cool, but you're gonna have to go out and create. So when you're at a level like these other guys are, you know, like it doesn't matter what happens, tidal wave, hurricane, a virus, nothing, these guys are gonna create. And I've seen so many writers come in. I've watched it from the kids come in with their masks. I watched old veteran writers that I got to tell put the mask on. You know, there's different things, but everybody is like, they see it as there's a new thing happening. So it isn't like there's no light at the end. There's a lot, but it did screw up and it did ruin a lot of things because I'm sure like Wayne's been up here, like I even got him to do something with us. So these guys are doing big shows. They don't have to push that back now because nobody's able to put a big budget and have it to do it. So a lot of the artwork is not happening as much, but I'm not going to tell you like the old ones are done, but he knows he's doing new murals. He's probably got his phone and his emails going off. I'm sure everyone has it. You just adapt. And that's what artists do. Artists are adapting. When things get worse in the city, that's when art becomes like the flower out of all the garbage and just blossoms out. And that's why, like, that's how the art supplies and artists connect into community. And I'm telling you, the worst war-torn places, the most devastated places, art always comes out and it always comes through. And that's why, like, being an artist is one of the most important things. Ain't nobody care about an athlete. Ain't nobody care about these lying actors and celebrities. Nobody cares about these people. You know what I mean? The artists are the ones that everybody's really, they're the true talent. You know what I mean? And I've seen it. And I tell you, I've touched more spray paint cans than everybody else in the city. I haven't done as much murals as them because I'm putting the cans on the wall. That's how I'm holding the paint. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, from day one, people were coming and people were buying like $300-400 worth of paint because they had a bridge to go to because there's nobody out there. Everybody's home. So when you're home, you want to get art, you want to do things, and then you start getting hungry and you're like you said, Wayne said, I couldn't stay still. Imagine if I was one of these artists. These guys are like nonstop. You probably just look at their black book or their iPad or something, full of work. So no, I don't think it's like the only thing that's changed is going to be the what you're used to. It's going to be different. You're going to be wearing masks. You're going to be staying apart from each other. People are going to be watching, like, you know, you should be washing your hands and all that stuff anyways. But I think art is going to flourish even more and people are going to adapt. And that's the one thing. Like if an artist looks at a wall and they want to do the top of the wall and there's like a stairs, they're going to slide a garbage dumpster over, climb up. They're going to adapt to get to that. So no matter what distraction there is, the artist will come through, and that's the best thing. While we were closed, we had people knocking on the door. People were calling, emailing. Art did not stop. It's never going to stop. You're just going to have to do it a different way.
So
yeah,
that's super encouraging. And like, I feel like the trends across everybody, I mean, I love what you're saying, Heist, the idea of like the game of artists is adapting. Is like, and like, you know, what do we have to work with? We got to make, so let's throw a piece of cardboard on the street. Make it happen, right?
I mean, just to go back to what Heist's saying with the mask, a mask for graffiti writers is a plus.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's a plus.
Exactly.
You know, especially with technology these days.
Yeah.
So
remember back in the day? If you wore a mask, Wayne, and you're walking down the street, they'd be, what the hell is this guy doing? Now he's like, hey, he's following the rules. He's a good guy.
Good guy.
Yeah.
No, 100%. So I think it's all those things. It's trying to take those things that wasn't the norm before, and now they're the norm.
Yeah,
you know, everything he's talking about. A lot of other stores here too in New York, same thing. Like same thing, like Collective. Like people called them. Some guys secretly went and opened their store for people. To buy paint.
Backdooring it.
Just like
the beer, just like the cold tea. You know, they're putting the cold tea cans out there.
All right, guys, I'm gonna keep
Okay.
going. And get to our next question. So if y'all notice the time, I'm gonna remind you all to try and stick to your 3 minutes because it's already 7:45.
We're down to 1 minute now.
That's a long minute, my friend. No, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. I just want to make sure that we get to everything. Okay, so the next question, the idea of mastery and notoriety. So, you know, like based on some of the things you guys alluded to already, I just wanted to get a little bit more specific to talk to the artists in the space here who are, you know, trying to improve their craft, trying to grow their audiences. So obviously, as I mentioned, like this idea of notoriety, so like the size of your audience, the number of people who know what you're doing, are interested in what you're doing, would buy something if you were trying to sell it. And then of course your skill, you know, the depth and the diversity of your abilities. So I mean, you guys are sounding really, you know, motivated and like you didn't even miss a step barely. A lot of artists, I think, have struggled with motivation for a lot of reasons. You know, shut down, like people's goalposts, that things they were working towards have disappeared, like the motivation becomes more challenging. But I do want to take a moment to think about what artists can be doing to progress in their creative businesses and their artistic practices during this time. So like I said, you guys kind of already started alluding to it in a couple of ways, but my questions are, and I actually have a couple specifics that I'll pepper in here as well, because we've already had some people adding questions. So from your perspective, what's one way that street artists and graph writers can capitalize on the current circumstances to deepen their artistic skill on one side and to grow their audience? So you got two questions there. What can artists do with the current circumstance to grow their audience and deepen their skill? And then I've got, let me just double check here. Okay. Rivers, I'm gonna put your question to someone in just a second, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna put the question to, let me put it actually to Wane first. Wane.
Yes.
From your perspective, one way that street artists and graph writers can capitalize to diversify their skill set right now and to grow their audience.
So to capitalize, I mean, it's for me, you know, to capitalize has always been like, it's always been kind of a tough thing. Right. And I think it's a tough thing for a lot of artists. And in these times, it's going to be really tough. But like, I think,
hang on, I just want to be clear. The next question is about revenue.
Oh,
so
sorry.
It's not about money yet. Like just on the one side, how do they get better in their skill, in their art form? And how do they get more people? How do they grow their audience to get people looking at what they're doing?
Right. So like earlier, I was saying the way to do that, to deepen their skill, is really to practice. That's also a thing, like prior to COVID-19. Like if you're out there as a street artist or studio artist or muralist, it takes a lot of practice. I personally didn't try to sell a piece of artwork on a canvas. If people didn't ask me, if someone like Heist didn't ask me to be in a show, because he does shows, and you know, Pat does gallery shows. But if these guys didn't say, "Hey, Wayne, we're doing a group show, and we want to, you know, will you do a piece of work and participate in this show?" I wouldn't do it. I only started doing that after 30 years of writing and painting. So my point is, unless prior to that, I'm not saying that don't do that. People have hired me for stuff, but I wasn't like chasing it. I wasn't trying to make it a living. I'm saying you have to nurture the craft first.
Right. And can I ask you specifically on like, so I got one question here from someone in terms of working on your craft, specifically practicing. What this individual wants to know is how they can work on their hand control. So do you have any, like, how do you recommend a young writer work on their hand control? On
a can control or hand control?
Can you specify for us, River? Can control or hand control?
Because it could mean hand styles, it could mean can control.
10,000 hours, 10,000 hours, and then get back to us.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely what I say, but I'll tell you what, in the early days, right, everything was illegal, right? So a lot of guys, anybody, if you ask Say City or anybody that's been to grad program, they'll tell you when their mom wasn't home, they'd take the Lysol and they'd practice in the hallway of their mom's hallway in their apartment because the Lysol kind of disappears off the wall. So that was a way of learning pretending, but actually painting. You would see it; it was wet on the wall, and you would try to scale it because the hardest thing about taking your art outside is learning scale.
Yeah. So he said he specified can control.
Yeah. So can control, you would have to do that. You would have to. First we'd take the Lysol and we practice the gestures and try to do throw-ups and tags. And then once we build up the courage and the techniques, and also at the same time, you would have to practice in your black book, your sketch pad, right? And then when you felt confident enough with your friends, you go behind some building, some place that was cutty, and you would do it there. And then before you know it, if you gained a little bit of skill, or you thought you did, we thought we gained enough skill, which we were still whack. We went to the trains. We had enough, balls, and we went to the trains, but we were still whack. It takes years. So my point is just saying, just be patient.
Be patient.
Work on your stuff. Be patient. If people want to pay you for a commission, go for it. I'm not saying, oh my God, wait 30 years to take a commission. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to master your craft takes 10,000 hours, like Heist said, or it takes years and years. And once you get there, or even halfway there, I think they will agree with a lot of what we're saying. Ask anyone on the panel. So that's one. To answer your second half of the question, grow your audience.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I believe. Create something, draw something, write something on paper, paint something, post it. The more you post, is the more people want to keep coming back to your audience, to your social media audience, and at the same time, write things about what you're posting, things that mean things to you, things that are personal in the journey of, when you post something, write something that's personal, so people could also, because a lot of people are going through the same thing. So if you're telling a story that's personal to you, a lot of people can relate, and then they're going to go, oh, and then they feel they're not in it. And then it builds some type of, like, we're connected, we're studio mates, or we're together now, and they want to follow you. They, and they'll tell other people about it. So, you're at that.
Yeah, that's great advice. 10,000 hours, be patient, be confident, go buy some Lysol. That shit's hard to come by. Now more than ever, it's probably easier to buy paint, actually.
Use Lysol wipes for your hand control. That'll help as well. Lysol on, Lysol off.
Yeah, for sure. Heist, I'm gonna throw it down to you. Can I ask, like, again, your recommendations, how artists can deepen their skill, grow their audiences at this time?
Well, the one thing is, the first major thing that these kids, young people have to remember is, out of 100 of you, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 2 are just gonna get it right away. Maybe 15, maybe 20. Someone's gonna get it right away. And the rest of us, like me and shit, we're gonna have to just work and fight and work. Some people just get it right away. So you have to understand that it's not gonna come to you easily, or it may come to you easy. Either way, accept it and work with it and build with it. For me, I remember starting with hand styles. It's like I could write with my toes now better than I could when I first did it with my hand. It took me forever. And I put it down. I was downstairs throwing out my sticker box. There's like thousands of trash bags, just garbage. Like, I contributed so much garbage to the world right now with those tags just to get to where I am now. But I mean, get a black book, start with the pencils, fill the whole thing with pencils, hundreds of tags, every letter. Do your letters, lean it to the left, lean it to the right, lean it straight, do them bubbles, do them square, do it straight, connect them, do everything. Just practice, look on YouTube, bite everything from Wane's page, go to his Instagram page, steal all his letters and hairstyles, copy it. And there's a way, like, you can copy someone and learn and be humble about it, and then you can steal someone's style and then act like, I've seen it in toys, I've seen everything, I've seen it all the way through. You just gotta learn, you gotta learn foundation, and then you gotta practice.
And then you gotta change it. Then you gotta
exactly. Oh, you gotta change it up. You can't do like the one thing, because you're gonna get called out for it, and then it might create a monster inside of you that you are angry about, and then you come out and then you come off wrong, and then you're like a punk, and then you're getting punked, and you're punking other people, and then you'll grow up to not ever help anyone underneath you. And the best way is, you always gotta, like, you gotta respect the people above you, and you gotta respect the people below you. And then some people may not deserve it. There's a lot of good writers that, by the way, Emperor knows, Pat knows, that, like, they're good, but they suck as people. So that's just how society is. Practice.
Yeah, for sure.
Start with 100 million tags in pencil, then 100 million in pen, and then do the marker over it, and then do stickers and put it on top of the book, and save that book, and then look back at it and see how you've improved.
Love
Just
that.
layers and levels.
That's dope, Heist. Thank you. Okay, let me flip it to Ray. Ray, one way artists can develop their skill, and one way they can grow their audience.
I couldn't agree more with what.
Let me just preface this by saying that like Ray has a crazy following. Anytime Unity's trying to do something, we're like, yo, let's get Ray to post it.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. You know, but yeah, I couldn't agree more with Wayne. I couldn't agree more with Heist. You know, I would say like humility is number one, and just getting used to like micro growth. You know, not expecting that you're gonna do something incredible right away. Some things come off easy, some things are harder for everybody. I would just say like there's no shortcuts, but there's definitely a way to accelerate the speed of your growth if you listen to the right people. So I would highly encourage like you listen to somebody like Wayne or anybody else on this panel, because these are people that are actually like highly experienced, you know, instead of just listening to your homie who's like your age and has just as much experience as you. You know what I'm saying? So get to the sources as fast as you can and learn from the best of the best. That's number one. Number two, I would say for capitalizing, just build a community of people.
Revenue is the next question. Growing your audience. Growing your audience.
Okay. Growing your audience. I think it's the same thing. But anyways, growing your audience, I would say just build your community. You know, just build, like share as much as you can. And share with people, and like pay attention to who likes it, and then just be like, oh, you like this? What kind of people do you think would like this? You know, and then people just start giving ideas. Like that's kind of how I grew. Like I'd go around and like people would like it. I'd be like, where would you see this? And they'd be like, oh, I'd see it in a hotel. I'd see it in this. So I just kind of like built my community, and then I go to a hotel bar and show it to like the bartender. Then the bartender would like show it around. You know what I'm saying? Like I just built a community of people, and these are all people that I made like friends with. You know, it's not just about like creating fans or, you know what I'm saying? Like these are people I'm in touch with that I like. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's it.
That's dope. And I think that holds true across a lot of art forms, where it's like you build authentic relationships with people and they show up for you. They buy from you, they rate you, they share you. And like, it's all about like that. And you know, what's so interesting? What some folks are saying is the idea of like, for example, for performers, you know, MCs, beatboxers, whatever, this idea that now that we're in a digital space, it's actually easier to have like authentic digital connection, the same way you would go up to somebody at a show and be like, hey, thanks so much for coming out, respect.
Right.
Now, like when somebody like throws a comment up, yo, that's so sick. Talk to them. What's going on? Why do you like it? Where did you find out about me? I really appreciate your support. And like one by one, like you said, micro growth in your practice, but micro growth in your business too, right? Like every person matters.
100%. Because anyone on the digital or people that come up to you, you know, I painted, you know, a lot of times when you're painting murals, people come up. Some artists tend to shake people off because they're focused about their work. But you got to remember, everyone that comes up is a fan, but you don't have to treat them as a fan. You just treat them as a regular person, as a homie. It's like Ray was saying. It's like, dude, you gotta never try to, you know, especially because some people are younger, so they take it personal, you know. But really, I feel like, yo, you just gotta be humble. You gotta be humble. You know, don't let your ego get to you.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how big you get. How big? It doesn't matter. It's really about you being a person and just not being an asshole to the next person, and trying to show empathy and kindness.
For sure.
And if you can, you know, once that starts, then you can give a little advice to where someone is struggling to get better at their craft. And that goes a far way. You know, I've had people 15, 20 years run into me in the supermarket go, oh, Wayne. I'm like, you know, you think it's like some old beef or something, and someone's like,
thank you.
Go get my jacket. Hey, honey, this guy painted my jacket back and blah, blah, blah. Right. And oh man, I remember you, we talked about it, you know. So people remember the small things.
For sure.
You know? And sometimes it's people that become huge with whatever whatever they're doing in life, whether it's music or something else. but they might have started off in the creative fields that
You
we're in.
never know. You never know who somebody's going to become. So
Right.
be nice to everyone, for sure. Okay, Pat, I'm going to flip it to you. Last but not least, one-way artists. And I know, like I said, you work with a lot of, in the same way as Unity, you work with a lot of people who are first discovering the craft, first exploring and kind of falling in love with it. So from your perspective, how can people who are at that really entry-level place deepen and diversify their skill? And grow their audience when realistically the place that they're starting from is probably like, maybe they have like 100, 200 followers that maybe don't even know that they write.
Well, I mean, as far as creating art and growing audience, I think audiences are really, like someone mentioned earlier, the authenticity, right? Like, you know, like if you're biting someone and you're posting the stuff that looks just like someone else's, it's not really it's not engaging. People don't want to see that, you know, like they know where this art is from, or, you know, photocopied from or whatnot or whatever. But like when you're, you know, creating something, I posted a mural that I did like over COVID, and I think I changed the face of this peacock like 5 times, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna post it again, even though I had to change it, you know, like I like, hey, I'm human, you know, like client didn't like it, wanted to change it, and then I'm happy with it now, and then, you know, like, and then it's just like, holy cow, like this is really like this is tough, man. Like, you know, like you've got a client, you want to be artistic, you want to have that freedom, but I mean, it's a commercial gig, and it's, you know, this is sort of, but I think people like to see the work in progress. They want to see like they want to be part of the work, like, you know, like beginning to end. Like, I mean, the time lapses sure have helped. I think like it's engaging, right? People like love to see from nothing, you know, my hands got to create, like my hands and these cans like created something that like hundreds of people will see while they're driving down the street, like on their daily commute, you know, like, and that's a pretty powerful thing. And but to be able to see it from nothing on a trip, you know, like on Instagram, and they're like, hey, that's a thing, and then they relate to it. They you know, there's some kind of like relation, like, you know, to that. So like it's like as if they've seen me make it, you know, like, so.
And I like your suggestion of the idea of like, you know, and this is again true across so many art forms, where it's like people are looking for more than just the product and like the external persona of the artist. Like they want to see the sketch, they want to see,
yeah,
you know, they want to see like the first version, they want to see the fuck up, they want to see all those the grimy backstory pieces.
Yeah, and you know, like, and some people's Instagrams like is just art, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's like I'm not producing all the time. Sometimes I'm like, I'm bummed out. I got to do something that has nothing to do with art. So like I started carving spoons. I'm like, what? Carving spoons? It's like, that's the weirdest thing I ever seen. But like, you know,
I made a spoon.
yeah, but I mean, like, you know, I'm carving spoons, but it's because I had this creative block, and then like, man, I went to go buy carving tools, and like, it's the coolest thing. I just putting more tools in my toolbox, right? So, and I'm like, I like, if I wasn't doing something with my hands, I'd be doing something bad, you know, like, so I'm just, I gotta keep, and my mind would just, you know, who knows where it would go. So like, especially as far as like mental health goes, like I think keeping creating has been like a savior that way, you know, like,
100%.
Awesome.
sorry I got off topic there, but
no worries at all. Okay, well, I mean, I think those are really, I mean, again, from everybody's perspective, like, you know, be a good person, build community, like find ways to connect with people, be confident, be patient, like there's like, these are all really like tangible things that are easy to like achieve, you know, for entry level and emerging artists.
Can I add also something like not like I mean, like it doesn't have to be an official like mentorship kind of thing, but I mean, like when you're encouraging young artists, I find that very empowering. And you know, it's like I remember when it was in grade 9, and my art teacher told me that I could go to fine arts, I could go to art school, and like she encouraged me. I'm like, if I didn't have her tell me that, you know, I may not have gone my route, you know, like, so like I hope to be the person that that she was to me to some other youth, you know, like I hope to be that someone takes inspiration from, you know.
For sure. And I want to say there's a young guy who's saying that he's like, sometimes like people don't want to help him because he's young. Just like a quick directed question. It's a young guy from the Bronx. Wayne, do you know, is there any like organizations like Unity or like graffiti art programming in New York City where it's like people are using, street art and graph writing for, to build community and help young people, where someone like this participant, this attendee who's here today could maybe go and find some people who are down to like work with young artists and like be a good mentoring human?
Yeah, Rebecca, definitely. I think there's a few more places popping up. I don't have the information off the top, but I can tell you one of the main places, or two of the main places, like for years, Tats Crew, who's known as Mural Kings, Bio, Nicer, BG, those guys.
Okay.
They work out of a place called The Point.
The Point.
Which is in Hunts Point, right? And it's a community center. And there you can go there and they have different programmings. For sometimes they do workshops with kids as far as like art, meaning like workshops of spray paint, also workshops with photography and other workshops that help kids. And also another place for writers specifically is a shop called Tough City. It's like collective, but Tough City has a backyard where it has a train, it has 2 trains and also a few walls. And what happens, you can go inside and you can get the tools, you can talk to the guys there,
right?
And you can go to the back. They'll schedule in a time for you can paint. And they're also going to start doing workshops with different people. They've asked me, I might be doing a workshop there. Also, a lady artist by the name of Lady Fever, who was originally Canadian. She's a Canadian writer from Vancouver. She's also going to be possibly doing a workshop there too. So, hey, these are two great places to go that you can check it out and learn things.
That's awesome, Wayne. Thank you. And for the young guy who was asking the question and looking for some people to help, Maddie is throwing the links up in the chat, so you can check that out and hopefully line yourself up with a mentor, somebody who can, talk you through stuff and whatnot. Okay, next question. So I want to talk a little bit about revenue, making money. And I kind of wanted to tie this conversation in with, and again, I'm going to keep people with their eyes on the time for this because we do have 2 questions left and I want to make sure we get to both of them. So the first one, and this is relevant across a lot of the hip hop art forms that we work in, that we've been talking to people about, this idea of authenticity and connectivity to the roots of an art form. And the idea that monetizing your art is selling out. And so I feel like maybe in the realm of graffiti and street art, this is most stark in terms of like the side of the spectrum where we have illegal graph writing, on the side where we have sanctioned graffiti, and as well the idea of how street art and graffiti is appropriated to generate value in commercial spaces, right? And so I wanted to talk to people to ask a question on behalf of artists who like want to remain authentic, want to be true to their art form, but like also want to pay their rent and would love to do that through their art. So my question is, again, it's a 2-parter. I love my 2-part questions. This is how I sneak more questions into like a single panel. I think I'm so crafty. Okay, so first one is, what's one underutilized revenue earning opportunity that artists should be investing in? And the other one is, what's one piece of advice to artists who are conflicted by this idea between like authenticity and like wanting to make money through their art? So what's one great, yeah, okay, hang on. Before we get to that question, I'll pose it again. I do have a question from Rock, and the question is, oh, hang on, I lost it. What platforms do the panelists use to sell their work? So really quickly, if people can start, because that's obviously a great revenue earning opportunity. What platforms, Wayne, what platform do you use to sell your art on online?
Online, some people DM me directly at IG, so Wayne1COD,
Okay.
because they love to just connect,
Right.
And usually I get right back if I'm not busy. Second thing, you can do it. I call it down the on the internet, and you can go to www.3times.com. So www.3times.dope.com. And there you can find a very affordable pieces of my art. So for really true fans and people that have supported me for years.
Okay.
Other than that, it's just, people have to just wait for gallery shows and such.
Okay. And Ray, what platform is there? An online platform where you sell your art?
I'm just setting up a Shopify, but till now I've been just using Instagram, like just DMs, as Wayne said, and I go on Facebook groups and I just post my stuff, but not in a selly way. Like I'll be like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And I'll post my mural, but it's a business page, and then some other business owner's like, oh, that's sick, can you do my store? And yeah, so I kind of just like indirectly put my stuff out there without being a seller, Yeah. But Facebook is really good. Yeah, Facebook is really good because a lot more adults are on there and they have money, so why not?
Pat, where do you sell?
Well,
Pat,
as
where
far
do you sell your work online?
I don't. DMs, like honestly, like as far as murals go, like advertising and that sort of thing, like word of mouth has been the best for me. And like I don't know, there's like so many walls and murals that I've done that are still up, and like people just like, hey, you're that guy, like, so it's just like, and when if you're working with clients, like be easy to work with, like don't be a pain in the ass, and and do good work, and really and show up, right? So that's kind of the thing, like, because one thing people hate about contractors is that they're always late and blah blah blah, and like when they're doing renovations and that sort of thing, and like, and they're just gonna heap you into that same group of or a flaky artist or whatnot. Right. So like, just like and I'm not to say I'm the best at answering emails, but I mean, answer your emails. And yeah, I probably shouldn't be even talking about that, but yeah, answer your emails.
So I'm gonna segue this because I'm gonna take it back around again to get into the actual bulk of the question. So your answer for the underutilized revenue opportunities: be professional so that you get booked again and so that people make recommendations. That is solid advice. And then just quickly on the side of a word to artists who are conflicted about wanting to be authentic and also like wanting to pay the bills through their art. Words of advice?
You know what? Ernie Valles, like Party Pays, he told me a amazing quote one day. Is like, nobody that ever told me to keep it real ever paid my phone bill, and I was like, or bought me a piece of pizza. So like, that's
awesome. There you go.
Yeah.
I love that. That's perfect. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna flip it down to Heist. The first part of the question, Heist, is there an online platform that you recommend for artists to sell through?
Well, like everyone says, the easiest way right now is like just blasting your stuff on Instagram. Put Instagram live videos of you starting and sketching and putting up in like work in progress. Post canvas. So with me, like, I've sold some artwork, and I'm not an artist. I'm just like a schlub who does tags. But I've had some people buy some stuff from me, and I was like, it's really good, And we go and buy beers for everybody in the shop, so they don't make fun of me that I sold a piece of art. I'm not an artist. But like for everybody else, like the artists that come in here, I have a guy that works here, and anyone who does something, I'll post a picture of it. People will ask right away. I put the link in there. Instagram is like, there's a lot of people doing stuff on Instagram that's just like, what are you doing on here? And then other people are smashing it. Like M Show's just like, and Wayne, they're like they're Instagram like superstars. You know what I mean? In person, M Show not so much, but on Instagram, he's really like super awesome. You know what I mean? But just posting that, and for me, if you look, my ceiling is covered with stickers. Yeah. And then people ask me for that, like, oh, do you have any more of this guy? And then I have canvases where I have huge pieces in the back. I'm sure I can show you right now. You look around. So I put it up there. So for me, I understand what it is. It's have it in there in people's face. Let them see. My front window, I put it there. We're lucky that we have a big shop and that we can showcase that and everybody gets to see it. But the main thing is, like, put your artwork up there. Let people see that you're human and how you do it. Like, not every piece is going to be a super killer banger, but the idea is like M Show said, he's smart. Go on Facebook where all the old people with money are Instagram, go on where all the hype is and all the young people are. And then TikTok, go dance and do something. I don't know what you do on TikTok. I don't know what's going on with that thing. But like, there's ways to do this. It's like, get your art, put it up there, show them, and have the backstory for it when someone comes in. Be able to sell it. And that's one thing I can do. I'm better at talking about art and selling it than I am about doing it. And that's why a lot of artists get along with me and we have a good relationship. Because I realize in life that I could do, like, I know what it takes to do some art. And I've done a lot of it, but I mean, I prefer to put the artists on and put them on. Yeah. That's why I have the shop. And other people, like maybe an Etsy shop, put stickers, get your artwork on t-shirts, start tattooing. There's so many things. Like, just graffiti doesn't always have to be on a wall. It could be on a canvas. Yeah. It could be on a shirt. It could be on socks. It could be on shoes. It could be on anywhere. So just Instagram, Facebook, any other social media where you have it, get on there and let them see it. Post it, and then that's the best way. And then, I mean, get your homies there. Yeah, that's just one of my high-end artworks, you know, Dr. Schlo. You gotta get close so we can see the New York Knicks orange and blue. You know? But that's it. It's just like show all different variations. Like Wane just doesn't always show these big giant walls he does. He has little canvases, there's trucks, there's cars, there's different things. And people are like, will come to me and be like, well, hey, I've got this sandwich board that I need done, or someone will be like, I got this giant van to do, and someone else will be like, hey, I want you to do the side of a building. Someone else is like, I want you to make a design for my logo, so when I'm putting it on, like, you know, on edible bags or something, it's going, everybody's buying it and everybody's looking at it and seeing the artwork. You know what I mean? It's like there's a million places, and you'll never run out of things doing it. Like never ever. There's always somewhere to do it. And
I love that advice because it kind of hits on both sides, where it's like, if you're too precious about like, oh, I'm only going to show like my finished wall size pieces, like that's all that I'm putting on
like, they don't know your process. They don't get to know you. They don't follow along.
Yeah, and they also don't think about like, yeah, okay, let me get some sick lettering on my shoes, on my socks, on a shirt. That's also going to show you like what people want to buy. That's going to show you what your audience is into. They're going to share it to other people and be like, yo, how dope is this? I'm going to get one of these. You want, like, you know what I mean? Like, it hits on both sides.
Also know what the trend is. Like, if there's something happening, like now people can create art and get a political message out there. They can get some kind of thing. They can uplift communities. They can uplift each other. They can go against the norm and do things. Like, there's always something happening in the world that you can do right now. In the same way we said, you can get out there and go paint certain walls and new murals come up. People want something. Sometimes people want like an image with a message. Some people just want some silly 80s shit in a video game, like bar. You know, you got to be able to, and at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna talk about anyone selling out unless somebody, you know what I mean? I don't have time for that. My 2 kids, my car payments, my rent, none of that cares what anyone else is saying. And it's always the grimy, grungy people that aren't gonna do nothing, that are negative, that are miserable, that are always gonna try to hold you down. So as a kid, you're gonna come up. And that's why you gotta you gotta respect kids, like Wayne was saying, because someone's gonna come meet you 15 years later. It's like, yo, you did my jacket good. The next interaction might be like, yo, you called, like, you crossed me out. And now look at you. You gotta, like, you're missing a leg, and now I'm gonna sweep your other leg and drop you in the supermarket. You know what I mean? Like, there's always, like, you can't, like, you gotta always show respect, and also you gotta put people in place and check, and you gotta let a young artist know, it's like, hey, keep practicing, because right now you're looking to get the same respect that Emstro's done, where he's gone to school and put in years, had to go against the grain of like a lot of like university professors or teachers telling you. I mean, man. I when it comes to teachers, my actual school teachers, they didn't tell me nothing. Everything I learned was on the street from artists and from everybody else. My street IQ is way better than my regular IQ. And that's the main thing, you know what I mean? And that's what helped in this community. And I mean, I got guys who come in who just want to destroy the world. And I got guys that come in that want to paint flowers all over the world. I got to know both of them, and they both going to do their thing. One guy's not making any money, but he's famous and everyone loves him. And then the other guy's making money, but he's painting something else, but he doesn't care. You can't judge anyone how they do. You got to just be like, that's their prerogative. That's how they do. You make money, that's fine. You know, you know what we're selling out.
To add to what Heist and everybody's saying, I just want to say, like, also too, as an artist growing, right? Long as there's just trying to figure out if what's authentic and whatnot, and just battling through that. What you got to remember is that if you're out there, like Heist is saying, if you're like the guy that started off tagging and you're out there bombing and you're out there keeping it real and such, like people say, keep it real, right? Then if you sell your tags or you sell your clouds or whatever you're selling, you ain't never selling out. because you're the one out there putting in the work.
Exactly.
Right? Putting in the work. That's what we're doing here. Putting in the work. So if you're out there putting in the work, how can you be selling out? The guy that's telling you like they high say, the guy that's telling you he's selling out, he ain't putting in work. You know, and then if you also, one of the main things about, I think for me to get into commercial art, because there's like 3 different types of this: fine art, there's commercial art, you know, and then there's just like, you know, just doing whatever you have to do.
Hobby art, right?
Doing whatever you have to do is all that stuff pays the bills, but also it keeps you being creative. It keeps you being an artist. You know, a lot of times I only did t-shirts. I did t-shirts for myself first with airbrushing in the late 80s. And then people wanted it. Hey, can you do one of those for me? And I was like, oh yeah, $15. And then that built into a business. And sometimes your art takes you down avenues. It's organic, right? But when people request things, man up, do the business correct, like Heist, like Pat, you know, like Ray. Like you have to also want to do it, and even if it's not the thing that's the most fun thing to do, you have to step up and be professional about it.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And then once you be professional about it and you get paid, then you got money now. You can pay your rent. You can buy paint, and then you can go out and act a fool and do all the graffiti you want. To me, it's always been about do something you don't love to do something you do love. You know what I mean? Like because a lot of people it takes years to be an artist and to nurture the craft. So they'll be, you know, graffiti doesn't sell. Oh, I'm not gonna do any commercial shit, right? I'm not gonna do anything that I don't want to do. Okay, so then they go and they become, you know, a garbage man. That's a great profession, by the way. They got benefits and all that. I'm not saying anything.
Oh, without garbage man, I mean nothing.
But you got to remember, you know what? Being creative and doing any type of art, even if it's commission, it nurtures the craft, and then you can get back to what you love to do, and that will always make you. That would always advance your craft and keep you.
For sure.
To be
And
creative,
I love that.
you got to stay creative.
And I love that, Wayne, like that idea of like one thing that we found at Unity is that, you know, the way that COVID shook out, we have these super particular circumstances within which we have to work. We have no choice. And the creativity and the solutions and the things that we found out that we were really good at, that we didn't even know we were good at, because we were forced to do something that was out of our comfort zone because that's what the job dictated. We're like, oh wow, we're even more versatile than we thought we were, you know? And I feel like that really relates to that, where it's like you get a job and it's like, okay, this isn't my favorite, but wow, I see that I'm actually really good at something that I didn't know I was super good at.
You didn't know. Tons of graffiti writers, tons of street artists like that. And like you said, that to me is going into survival mode. You went into survival mode, and then you find out, oh my God, I'm actually good at this. I got skills at this. Let me push this further. You know what I mean? Or my friend might be good at that. Also, too, even teaming up with different friends. Some people, everybody's an artist, but like some people are stronger at building websites and different things. You know, you want to collaborate with other people, and that's a way to also grow your audience. But at the same time, they might be doing one part of the collaboration better than you, and you're doing something that they can't do as good. And joining forces, unity. Like I say, unity and putting in the work. Yeah, those are things that are very important. It's just no pun intended, but like those things for me, I find like I didn't really learn those things in the Bronx and New York. I learned those things when I started traveling overseas to Europe and places like, you know, I went down to New Zealand, and when you see like a Skew and the TMD crew, these guys are living on an island, and they're doing the best fucking graffiti in the world.
Oh, they kill it out there. You
know what I'm saying? So, but a lot of what I saw in 2005, when no one really knew who they were, is they worked together. They were doing a magazine. They were doing a disruptive jam. They were doing a gallery, and they were painting shitloads of walls and trains.
Right. Nice.
But working together.
For sure. Love that, Wayne. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to flip it to Ray. Last but not least, one underutilized revenue earning opportunity, and one piece of advice to artists who are conflicted by authenticity and wanting to pay the bills.
Underutilized opportunity, I'd say number one, listen, I'm old school, like I don't have like, I'm not all techie and stuff, but I'd say number one is people need to over deliver at every single project they do. If a client gives you, let's say $2,000, give them a $3,000 job, you know, and then take that $3,000 job, get a $3,000 contract with it, then give a $4,000 to that, and just keep flipping it. Keep flipping your gigs, you know? I'd say that's number one, and just being correct. If you're a correct artist, you've already beat like 90% of the artists in the world, because they're hungover 90% of the time. So if you can show up and you're sharp and you're on point like that, you've already like you're already flying in the market. That's how I see it. No disrespect to anybody else, but
that's great. What you said, that's a great idea, man. Do a $3,000 job for a $2,000 job, and then use that to me to get a $5,000, and then do it. Yeah, it's like flipping.
Yeah, just keep. Yeah, like yo, like for me, for example, in 2018, I did a job for $250. I went to a barber who saw it. I charged him $4,000. I went to the cannabis store, charged him like $60,000. You know what I'm saying? So within a year, I flipped it like, you know what I mean? And then it keeps going like that. So basically, yeah, that's what I would say is the best. And just like getting out of your comfort zone. Like for me, like 70% of the time I'm around people that I don't know. I just go around talking to people. I meet people, you know, like I'm just like always in uncomfortable places, but I'm just comfortable with meeting new people. And then for selling out, the thing I always say is, yo, like, especially in the hip hop game, there's a lot of older cats that are like, oh, like, don't sell out, don't sell out. I'm like, yo, Jay-Z, Nas, Missy Elliott, like all these guys are where they are because of the massive corporate collaborations they did. Dr. Dre, are these sellouts? You know what I'm saying?
No.
So it's just like, it's the same thing. You just got to keep your integrity. You know, for example, a thing that I do is I tell them, yo, base price $10 to $20 a square foot. If you want to micromanage the project, then it's double that. And when they hear that double, they don't want to micromanage me anymore. You know, so that way they respect my boundaries as an artist. I do whatever I want. I can incorporate their logo here and there, but like 80% of the project is like coming from my heart. You know, I'm not there like doing things that I don't like. So
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great, Way. And I mean, I love that's like a good one. Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah. Once you over deliver, like, yeah. And it's just, sorry, the other thing is, yeah, the other thing is that, all those people become your ambassadors for free. All the community and all your friends are your ambassadors for free. They talk about you 24/7 because they love you. Like even the followers I have on Instagram, like I'm not like Justin Bieber where people are like, oh my God, like he's so cool. Like people people follow me because they respect me. Like it's not because I'm cool. I'm not Cause, I'm not Retina. I'm not like all these like hot artists that you know what I mean, that are super popular. It's just whatever. I'm working on it, you know what I'm saying? But
I like that, Ray. Like I said, it comes
yeah,
with that idea of authentic connection, right? Authentic.
Yeah,
connection.
like your base. Yeah, your base needs to be people that respect you and love you, because then when you have your back against the wall, those people will support you, you know? Whereas I see a lot of people, COVID hit them, and they were so famous, but now nobody cares about them. There's no people around them because they burnt all their bridges.
I'm sure. Remember
You know what I'm saying?
Remember that one guy who was trying to hate on your one thing?
Yeah.
And went on, and I started trolling the guy's page because I looked at his artwork and I was like, get out of here, man. I had Emso's back. Tap the guy on the shoulder, just boom, stunner, boom on the Instagram comments, and then he was out, laid out.
Yeah, he deleted everything. That was funny. You see, Heist has my back.
That old dude was being miserable. He's like hating on a kid that was like, and it was just like that guy. No wonder that guy has like no love and no nothing, because he just out here chirping on young kids. And it was like, and you got to look at the kids and encourage them and give them advice. You can tell somebody you're not good, and you got to practice in nice ways. You can also
right. Give them inspiration. You know what I mean? Like, it's true.
I love how I'm trying to ask a question about how do you make money, and y'all are bringing it back to supporting the kids and inspiring one another. come on, people.
That's what's up. You know what I mean?
Well, you know how to make the money, Rebecca. You got to just practice and get good at it, and then people will start DMing you for your artwork. There's no magic. It's like when I tried to learn breakdance, I tried to do a head spin. I didn't get it because I just wanted it more. I had to sit there and bust my. You have to bust that. Same with a hand style. You want to have a dope hand style, or like you want to have your name on the street stand out more than anyone else. You got to work on it, and your revenue will come with your practice and your skill. Ain't nobody gonna wake up and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna make $10,000 off this piece of art." You gotta grind and dig and scrap and scrape and fight and do it.
For sure. And I mean, I think it also ties into like what Ray was saying, you know, or different things that he's done with his business, where it's like your art in its purest form is only one thing that you can produce or create or that can make money for you, right? There's a million other opportunities within yourself as a business, as an entrepreneur, that you can lend your art to that will help you pay your bills if that's what you want it to do. And then one thing that I just wanted to add for those, you know, artists who maybe in the space who maybe haven't ever even been paid to do their art one time. One thing that I used to do, so years ago I used to write grants for artists, and they would pay me to do that, but there's always a chance that they're not going to get the grant, right? And so I was like, I don't know how to price this. And so I priced it in a way where I feel like I've been paid for my time sufficiently, but if they don't get it, I don't feel bad. I don't feel like they've been overcharged, you know, I don't feel guilty that they didn't get the grant. I did my best. Your art is a part of it. The jury is a part of it. I feel no regrets that you didn't get it. I stand behind the price that I gave you. And so for artists as well, it's like if someone's commissioning you to do something for the first time, thinking about, okay, even if it doesn't end up being perfect, what am I going to charge them that I'm going to walk away and I'm not going to feel bad about what I've charged them for?
When you don't get artist A, I'll introduce you to artist B, C, D, E, F, and then maybe you might want to spend money on artist Z at the bottom of the budget. So you got to look at the artist and know, as if you're buying and if you're selling, you should probably know where you are too. I think these artists here that we have with us, they know their value, they know what it is. And some people half step and then they end up with they go get B Squad to do it, and then you end up with B Squad murals. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But Rebecca, also too, I think people have to, you know, even though you're not the best artist, I mean, it's like you're saying, just to be an entrepreneur, it's you know, and an artist is two different things. You being an entrepreneur is the business side of it. You being an artist is another side. So, like Ray is saying, like, yo, you know, like doing that $1,000 job, you know, for you know, that $2,000 job for $1,000, but at the same time, you got to put a lot of passion into it.
Yeah, for sure.
People with money and people that hire you, even if you're not the best artist, if you put a lot of passion into your art, you are the best.
For sure.
People will feel that you did your best. You know, don't go in there and just put it. It's like Pat was saying, he had to change the peacock head 3 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the thing is, doing that is going to get better. It's going to get what the client wants. But at the same time, the client's like, damn, that guy changed the peacock head 10 times? Oh, I'm definitely going to call that guy back. You know what I mean? Some people, you know, a lot of sometimes young artists or just people, not even young artists, but just unexperienced artists, they want to come in or unexperienced to any media job. They come in and they do it quick, you know, and then, you know, then the person that hires you is like, oh, it's not that good. They can tell. They can tell if you know, you're faking it till you make it. You know, they don't want that. They want it. You know, they want to see you got to put in time and love, and they want to see that piece evolve and look beautiful. And they want people to walk into their establishment going, oh wow, that's incredible. Like, you know, he's doing the peacock in there, and someone's walking in, somebody else, and they're going, oh my God, you know what I mean? And it's things like that. So there's different times. There's times when I think one time when I was airbrushing for a while, and then I went for a place. Some guy at art still saw my shirt. He goes, oh, you should go work here. And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? He said, oh, this place, unique boutique. People do, you know, they'll hire you. You're great. And I was like 19 or something. I was scared to death. And I never worked for anybody doing any art really. And I went over there and I had a small album that you put your photos in from what people remember as the 1 hour photo, like Walmart or whatever. And I went in and the manager was there, and long story short, I showed him the album. He looks at the photos. He goes, "Oh, hey, come across the counter, do a shirt now." Okay. I came across the counter. I say, "Hey, what should I do?" He goes, "Do what you want. What do you think? You look at the walls. Do what you want. Do what you think might sell." At the time, house music was really popular, and in that area, I did a house music with a peace sign. Some guy came in. I was just finishing the shirt. True story. So yeah, how much is that shirt? He looks at me. I go, $40. Guy buys it. He said, "You're high." You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah.
Like, you know, you have to, even if, and I was the shyest person, but you have to, and a lot of times, like Ray said, and like Heist said, and Pat, you have to go out there, you have to put yourself out there. As graphic writers, we learned that a long time ago. If you don't put your art on the street, if you don't put it out there into the world, ain't nobody gonna see it.
Yeah. So
you're gonna be stuck in a room with a lot of your art and you. So if you love yourself and a lot of your art, you're good. But I'd rather have a room full of empty art in other people's houses or walls all over the world, things that affect people and make them feel good. Definitely. And people remember me, or they tell somebody, and it affects them for the better.
For sure.
So they can have a better life.
I gotta bring it's 8:37, so we are like already over time. And I you know what, I'm actually, the last question, I don't think we really have time to last question. I know people are trying to close businesses, people got to get back to their kids.
No, you can stay on here. This is all overtime.
Hey, I gotta say one thing. I gotta plug my book.
Yeah, plug the book. So are people okay for me to ask this last question quickly, and then we can?
Yeah, go right ahead. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, so good. He's at the shop with me. He's not going nowhere.
History is Made in the Streets. That's Wane's book. We'll throw it in the chat there. Okay, quickly, I'm gonna give people, this is our last question.
Die-hard Graff fans.
For die-hard Graff fans, hopefully that's who we have in the space today. Okay, so quick, 2 minutes to each of you. And this is, I kind of like to end the panels on this note, just reminding artists in the space of like the huge power that they have in this world, to bring people together, to create commentaries that people need to see, to create change, to bring community together. And so the question that I wanted to put to people is just to tell us about one powerful piece of art that you've seen, or one arts-based act of activism that you've seen in this crazy year that is 2020, that you think was important. And I want to put that to people because I think that the world needs more art, and the world needs more powerful art. And so I want to ask each of you, what's one piece of art or one arts-based activism that really spoke to you, and why do we need more of that? But you got to keep it to 2 minutes.
I'll keep it in 1 minute. Let me go first.
Wait, go, Wayne.
So what I saw the first couple weeks when COVID was, when the quarantine started, my boy Stash 2 from New York, he was in the studio regardless every day. He produced 10 pieces of work, right? And he sold each one for $1,000, right? And he raised $10,000 and donated it to all the workers on the front line. Wow. And then he added another $500 and he shipped it to everybody. Wow. Okay? And he's nowhere near paid. He's just like me and you, working, grinding every day. And he raised $10,000 for a good cause. And you know what? There's so many artists and there's so many people with money, celebrities and such. They're not doing that. So to me, that was amazing. That was inspiring in so many different ways. So we can get out there. And then after that, I got out there and I ended up working with a mural organization to say their names, and do a mural in Springfield, Massachusetts, because I felt like, you know what, you got to get out and get back. All right, go Pat.
Yeah, Pat, talk to me. One powerful piece of art, political activism this year.
That the Black Lives Matter in New York, where on the street, and there's a video of Say Adams' son he was taking a video of Say Adams painting names in the street, and it was I just found it so powerful that his son was taking the footage of him painting and having a voice and being an artist and being able to get that message out, and that's the whole it just being a father now, it's just it just means so much. And I think it's very powerful. Like, what kind of world do I want my son to live in, you know? And that's what keeps me up at night sometimes, you know? So, yeah.
For sure. I find it really, like, I love that, like, so much of the beautiful street art and murals that have come up is like supporting frontline workers, all kinds of characters in masks, Black Lives Matter, say their names. Like, it makes me feel in moments like when I'm like stuck in my house that I'm like, the world is with me, and that there are people at that stuff is really messed up, but there's also people out there who like have the same values and want to live in the same kind of world that I want to live in, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let me shoot it to Ray. Ray, what do you think? One powerful piece of art or activism based in art this year?
I think the one what Pat mentioned was one of my favorites. But if I were to say second to that, would be recently some of my friends, Flips, Roel Solar, and Creature. They did a mural that was dedicated to artists and about a reminder that, like, when everybody was at home and they lost everything, they turned to art to stay sane at home, you know?
Where can we see that? What was that again, Ray?
It's on Spadina. That's the thing. I don't know where you could see it, but I can tell you, like, one of the homies' Instagrams, and it's probably like his first picture there.
Sure. Throw that. What is that?
His Instagram is Rowell, like ROWELL SOLLER. Rowell
Wow.
Solar.
He better give props for remembering his Instagram handle.
Yeah. You see, I'm a pre-ambassador because I'm part of his community. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, that was beautiful, you know? And yeah, I'd say that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ray. And finally, I'm going to put it to Heist. Heist, tell us.
Okay, so one of our good friends of the shop, his name's Zion. Most people have heard of him. Some people haven't. He was the guy that owned the old location, the old bomb shelter. So he's like one of the first guys that I really started doing. Like, he had the Graff shop back on the Queen and Spadina area. So we were chilling in, and he's always been like a solid friend of mine and like and of the shop and us, and we know him for a long time. Dope artist, you know what I mean? Always done some stuff. And then he just came down on the one Saturday, I think, and they had a march scheduled for College Street. So he just kind of came down. We were standing here and just talking and stuff. And then he had his camera. So we walked up to the corner, and then we just stood by the Burger King, and we were just watching people. And then we were watching everyone go by, taking pictures, and saw some friends and stuff. And then we were just kind of sitting there, and, you know, and I was just kind of like, didn't really go to any marches. I stayed, like, running the shop, trying to just, you know, pay the bills and do my thing. Mm-hmm. And then after we just kind of went and walked back, and then he was like, you know what? Like, I want to paint something. And I was like, sure. I'm always like, when Wane's here, Entro's here, I'm just, you know, do something. I'm like, paint something. You know, I'm always trying to steal free artwork from these guys. You know what I mean? Whatever I can. I'm always trying to mooch something. So then he was just like, we went across the street to Gortzman's, you know, big up Gortzman's, they're our friends. So we went and got a canvas, and he came back, and he was like, you know, I haven't painted in a while. And he just started painting, and he looked up and he got a few pictures of it. And let me show you what he ended up doing at the end of the day. Kind of just did a canvas, and we were thinking, like, how are we gonna do this thing? What are we gonna do? So he painted a piece, and then we're like, let's put this up for kind of a charity, and then donate any of the money. We do like a raffle kind of thing. So you can't really see it because it's all dark up in here. Oh, that is gonna help us. So he just kind of painted this George Floyd mural right here. You know what I mean? So he just kind of freestyled it and just, you know, had the thing. Sat here on Saturday, was outside out front at the front shop. Just out here, had it sitting on there by the tree. We zip tied it up and just started painting. And then everybody who came by was checking it out. Everyone was talking to him. Everyone was talking to us, and it was really dope. And I don't mean any offense to anybody, but like, when it comes to certain things like this, Zion, he's a black dude that painted it. And to me, that's a little bit different. I'm not trying to put anybody else down, but I've seen a lot of other people taking on the initiative to do things and do stuff. And to me, it was made more sense that he did it, and he did it perfect in his art style, and it was really dope. And it was like the moment, it was the day, it was much like everything kind of coincided and worked together. And I feel it was like, it's a really big, powerful piece. We leave it in the front, so everybody who walks by sees it, comes in, and then I just link it to Zion. I think he's like real-time Zion, and it is his Instagram. So you can always check his out and big him up, because like he's the homie. He's one of the original guys, you know, the store owner. Like he's the one who I got the shop from, explained to me. He's like, yo, this is how business is. We talked it, we did it, and I took it, and then we've taken it to levels, you know what I mean? And I have to thank him, and it was like, you know, I'm always trying to get this guy to do some free artwork here. You know, ain't nobody really got time in here. You know, like I had to barter and haggle Wane to do that one. He's like, all right, give me 100 cans, and I'll do. So he's got to come and finish this pizza. You know? He's got to come.
I got 2 cans and an old slice of pizza. And then he asked me to tag on every slap he had in the shop. That wasn't tagged on.
No, that was an art show where all those people stole the stash in Wane artwork. So all these people stole all my camps. So if we find anybody that has this, Wane is telling you right now, give it back to me. Bring it to collective.
That's right.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, I love, honestly, Heist, I love that story. I love the
that's incredible.
images like
That's
this.
incredible.
The art
What's
being
his
made
Instagram
outside.
again?
Real-time Zion. Real-time Zion. Yeah.
It's in the chat there.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. I just put it in the chat.
Oh, you got it under? Yeah. So that's the homie, you know what I mean? And he did that. And man, if we were better at doing raffles and doing giveaways, we probably would have gotten the money raised already. But like, since we're just a bunch of like graffiti tagging, beer drinking bums, you know, we couldn't get. But if you just look at his page and his artwork, he's bananas. Like he's just really dope. And he's, you know what I mean? Like he's a really OG artist, and he's a businessman, and he's been big. He's always been about the community and wanted to do it his way. Because a lot of people walk to the drum of to the beat of their own drum. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's kind of how it is. And I've learned a lot from him. And I mean, here we are today. And me and my business partner, you know, big up to Ninja Shane. Like me and him have taken a lot of these things, and we're trying to take it to the next level. And that's why I mean, art can be on walls, it can be on toys, art has no limits and no bounds. You can go to a beach and make a sandcastle. You can do letters, you can do anything. Nothing, you can't stop anything.
And the idea of like, you know, like the community that exists beneath the art, and I'm going to use this as a segue to wrap this up because, you know, like everybody who's in the space today here, Ray has been so generous with his art and his time at Unity working with youth. Heist 100 times over has offered, you know, anything we can do for Unity, we're here, you're here today. Pat doing the same kind of work over at Graffiti Art Programming. We collaborate together doing the same type of work. Appreciate you being here. Pat introduced us to Wane, which brought Wane here today, and Wane is obviously cut from the same cloth, you know what I mean? So it's like all of this community and connection for the young man looking for a mentor. It's all there, you know, you just haven't found it yet, or you just haven't found your mentor yet. So it's out there.
Between four of these pages, those 3 guys' artwork in the shop, you have an unlimited amount of stuff to look at.
For sure.
You got the OG. You got the OG out in the other part of Canada for sure. You got Heistdro, who's doing his thing, and then you can come to the shop and always talk to me and Jedi. We'll lecture you about hip hop. We'll tell you about we'll tell you about the 90s all day. You know what I mean?
So with that, I'm gonna say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of the panelists, guys. Thank you so much for coming and being so open, so honest, so real.
Thank you for everybody checking in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me and us. And I'm sure you're welcome.
That's the key.
I want to say a final thank you. Thank you to TD again, our supporters, for making the panel possible, for making our artist training and development possible all year round. All of the recordings for these panels are up on YouTube if you want to send them, if you want to watch them again. Make sure you follow unitycharity.com as well. And that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yo, where's the after party?
Can I say thank you to my wife for being understanding? It's our 9-year anniversary. Right.
Hey! Yo, after party at Pat's house. What?
Happy anniversary, y'all.
Wait, I'm gonna message you on IG. I'm gonna hit you up.
Okay, so all right, that's it, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hi,
We'll check
Hi,
in
Ray.
next time.
Yo, peace out, Wane. Peace out, Pat. Easy, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Pat.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye.
Bye.